in, he comes in. If not, um,
Yeah,
that'll
but
be a shame.
still, hearing the, hearing the, hearing how the Comic Con would have been a real mess makes me kind of glad and shaken to know how that could have turned out.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. With Comic Con, I'm sad for the local businesses who basically use that for money. You know, because a lot of those local businesses in San Diego, their entire the vast majority of their fiscal year comes from Comic Con.
Events,
Yeah, well, it comes from Comic Con, like when Coachella, not Coachella, South by Southwest in Austin kind of left. Like they're businesses who that's their Black Friday. That's when they make a huge amount of money to keep them afloat for the rest of the year. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact, I mean, okay, look, the biggest time of year for me is uh, 3 months out of the year: June, July, August, into September. So four. That's the biggest time of the year for me. Like that's when I make the vast majority of my money. So I'm probably not going to be able to make that money this year. Luckily for me, knock on wood, um, I own my businesses and like I have diversified the commercial space. Like the building I own in DC, like I own the whole building, so there's like an office above my place. Not really an office, but like uh no, what do they do up there? I think they have an office. Whatever. They pay me rent, and basically I rent out the space above my space. So like that's money coming in, and I do the same thing in the other two places I own. But most people don't have that type of luxury. Like me shutting down my business, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my house type of thing. But not everyone has that luxury.
oh yeah.
So
So if anything, that makes knowing what is going on with a certain industry even worse.
yeah, I mean, if you're in the restaurant business or retail that isn't essential, hairdressers, stuff like that, it is not fun for you right now, and my heart goes out to you. You know, uh, but we're not going to keep on talking about that downer of a subject. Uh,
Even though it went into, even though it went from comics to that mess.
yeah. So before we go any further, let's have the lady introduce herself, and then I'll introduce myself, and we'll dive right into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Asbestos and Degree Podcast. I'm Joe Ray Eli Moonstar, and if anything, do not mess with somebody that could shatter a table in half.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't mess with I mean, look, it's Shigeru Miyamoto. That's all I gotta say. And this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters, and we're about to talk about some really interesting stuff. We're gonna talk about the business of video games. Some people are making some choices that seem kind of foolhardy, if not downright foolish.
And it's not just in the video game industry, but everywhere. But we're aimed at video games.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
mostly talk video games around here. So let's get to it. So let's start with the first little bit of news, which is Crisis. Crisis is coming to the Switch.
And my reaction is there's some things that should never be given to others. This is like the fruitcake of video games.
What, Crisis?
Yes.
I wouldn't say that. Having played Crisis back in the day on a PC that could handle it, like with max settings, I got to tell you, Crisis is actually a pretty damn good game. Um, I think putting it on the Switch is kind of a bad maneuver, but whatever. Um,
And that's because of the hybrid nature.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hybrid nature of the Switch is going to, because the thing is that Crisis when it came out was about was about 2.5, 3 generations ahead of the graphics card, consumer grade graphics cards at the time. Like, in order for you to play Crisis at the best specs at the time, you just couldn't have done it if you were an average gamer on a PC. And that was back in the day. It wasn't until like three
I
or
was gonna
four
say it
years,
probably cost you about over 1,000 for some of that.
basically. But I mean, even then, some of the technology wasn't on the market at that point for consumers. So it took about 4 or 5 years before people had PCs that were good enough to run Crisis. And even then, you probably weren't running it at the best. I mean, so you're looking at like 6, 7 years before people could run that game. And people are like, "Oh man, I'm the first one to tell you, man, graphics aren't everything." Crisis is not only a game that was graphically very impressive, it was also a well-designed game. I mean, it's a graphical tour de force. It's like, god damn, this is amazing. And the joy of Crisis is running it at those high specs and having that massive open world where you have a very open-ended nature. It's like, okay, take out this base. You can do it a variety of ways. You can sneak in there with your stealth suit and snipe people to death. You can shoot down a tree and block the road so that they can't get reinforcements and then kill everyone, Rambo style. You can do a hybrid of both. You can just sneak in and not kill anyone and just blow up the generator. I mean, there's so many ways you can solve problems in the game, in this massive breathing game where there's like they've manufactured a reality, and then you're gonna like downgrade that experience to put it on the Switch. I mean, if you want to play a game that's meant to be played like
At at high power.
at max settings on the Switch, knock yourself out. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but
It makes me wonder whose idea was that.
personally, this is from EA. That I think they already had this. I think they already had this game made. They just ported the shit over to the Switch SDK developer kit, and I think they downgraded it enough where it could run on the system, and I think that's what they're gonna do. They're just gonna put it on the system like that.
You said EA.
Yeah, it's EA, so I think this was already made, and EA's like, well, shit, we got to put something out on the Switch. Okay, we'll put this shit out, but it's not gonna be very good. Cause speaking of EA,
Oh no! More EA trash?
yeah, more EA trash. EA is also now this is Burnout Paradise remastered is hitting the Switch for $50. Now they've since taken this down. Um, June 29th or June 20th, but that sounds like some shit EA would do. Yeah,
The $30 Nintendo tax from
yeah,
EA Sports. It's
yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
Oh
Well, this is
God!
not EA Sport. Well, I guess it's a sport. Racing is a sport. EA, that's right. We're gonna charge you $20.
Don't you mean 30?
So yeah, sorry. We're gonna charge you $30 for a game that you can get on the PS4 and the Xbox One and on PC for 20 or less. We're gonna charge you $30 extra, so it's gonna be 50. Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And people wonder why EA is hated by many gamers.
People are like, well, why don't? Well, I mean, the people, I mean, they're like, well, why don't you like EA? Cause of shit like this.
Exactly. And if anything, please tell me that EA didn't send another piece of trash Nintendo's way.
No, that's it. Just, I mean, that's the only stuff I covered. I mean, I don't know about anything else. The $30.
I was asking because if anything, knowing them, they probably do three pieces of trash just to try to dilute the hate.
No, just Burnout Paradise. And here's the thing, Burnout Paradise is actually a fun game. I have it on my PS3. It's actually pretty fun.
Doing doing car insurance claims.
Yeah, just smashing cars. I mean, like, here's the thing, okay? It's like when you were a kid. Well, I don't know about girls, but when I was a kid, you'd have toy cars and you'd smash them into each other. Except now you could do it in a video game and have all that damage and make them go way faster than you could just playing with your hands. So this is awesome. But I'm
I
not
agree.
paying $50 for it just because it's on the Switch.
That I can fully agree. And for the record, we had we had those RC racers, and we tried to run each other off a fictional road.
Yeah, like Hot Wheels, and I remember they had, I can't remember the exact name, but they had this car set that was like, I think it was like a subsidiary of Hot Wheels, where you could like crash the cars and they would have damage, like crash damage and stuff.
And
But
then you could actually repair them by
yeah,
I
you
guess
could repair them and
going
then
back
do
to
it
the
again.
repair.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I am not paying $50. I mean, here's the thing: I like the game. I would like to buy it for PC or my Switch, but I'll be damned if I'll pay $50 for it. You can take that. You can take that game and shove it up your ass. And use that burnout, and you can use that Burnout Paradise rewind and redo function like 3 or 4 times if you want to, because I'm not paying $50 for it.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
like, it's not happening. It's not happening. Speaking of turds being put on the Switch, Jump Force Deluxe Edition is being ported to the Switch by Spike Chunsoft. Now, here's the thing. When this game came out in 2018, Bandai Namco said, we can't put it on the Switch because the Switch isn't powerful enough to handle this game. Now, it turns out,
Wait,
if you're a Switch owner and all you have is the Switch, you weren't missing out on anything because the game's a piece of shit.
I was
So,
about to say, what did I just hear? That they said that that the Switch couldn't handle the jump,
well,
and then
they say they couldn't handle the game because the game was they claimed that it was graphically intensive. It turns out the game was using a modified version of all those shitty Naruto and One Piece games Bandai Namco puts out. You know,
oh
those
no,
3D arena 3D fighters that are like button mashers and you just use
I was
one or
about
two
to
buttons.
say that was that's the worst kind of 3D fighting game.
Yeah, I mean, we're not
God.
talking Soul Calibur or Dead or Alive. We're talking like no depth whatsoever, or Tekken. So basically, yeah, they're putting that shit out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I mean, even like I could get this game on sale right now for like $14.99 on PC. I'm not getting it. Want to know why? Because it's a piece of shit. And here's the sad thing, right? This is technically the fourth game in a series that's actually pretty good. Shonen Jump Force was a 2D beat 'em up on the DS, and then they brought it over to the 3DS, and I think they did like another one on the 3DS as well, and all of them are really good games. The first one's kind of limited in that like you only have like I think 10 or 12 playable characters, but then the two 3DS ones you actually have a large roster of Shonen Jump characters, and you can like get like side characters from other Shonen Jump mangas to join you as like character options, like kind of like help you out in a fight. Really good little 2D, like it's like Smash Brothers but with Shonen Jump characters instead of video game characters. But I'll be damned, they brought this 3D one and it's trash. I mean, it is absolute trash. It is.
Okay, I take back my fruitcake analysis with what I said earlier. This is fruitcake.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, well, we couldn't bring it to the Switch. I'm like, hey, you're not really missing out. It's a really bad game. Okay, we're gonna bring it to the Switch now. Like, here's the thing: anyone who's a fan of this game already bought it, and anyone who's not a fan of this game already heard how terrible it was. Why would you give it to Switch gamers? This is why I tell people: if you're a Nintendo fan, like, okay, this isn't like the third and fourth gen, where you could get by with just having a Nintendo console. It's not like that anymore, okay? You need to at least, if you want to be a good gamer and not get fucked, you need to at least have two current or next gen consoles at any given time. Either that or a PC. So then you can be like, I don't feel like getting fucked. If I want to play this game, I'm not paying a Switch tax for it or Nintendo tax or whatever. And I can, I want to play the game, but I want to play it and not get screwed over. So I think I'll get it over here where it's cheaper. No, no, no. I would not. I would not buy Jump Force if you paid me. If you gave me money, I wouldn't do it.
Even if it was $3.99.
No, even free, I wouldn't take it. But here's the worst thing. Not only are they charging you for this shit, the game is $50, but wait, there's more.
Don't forget. Let me guess. DLC.
Yeah, there's a character pass for $17.99 where you get Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia and some extra characters from Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, Bleach, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
And I just had a nosebleed from how much I face palmed.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I was kind of into it until they were like, $17.99 for a game that's kind of shitty anyway. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. F that S, I'm out. Whew.
Yeah, I'm done. So, someone on Nintendo Enthusiast named Chirag Patney talks about the complicated relationship of EA and Nintendo. I don't think it's that complicated.
I was about to say, that's as complicated as a sandwich, and Red Fox, I'll let you decide what sandwich that is.
A shit sandwich. Hey, this looks like pate. That ain't pate.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, okay? EA has basically been fucking over Nintendo as a company since the
Inception?
No, since the 5th gen. They've been fucking over Nintendo. Well, actually, the 4th gen. Because remember, there used to be ports, like EA put so many good games on the Sega Genesis, and then would give those same games would come to the SNES, and they would be shitty ports of the games that EA put their A team on for the Sega Genesis.
Oh God, how do I not remember that?
I mean, and even they would make third-party exclusives for the Sega Genesis that were good, like Poltergeist, and Slime or Ooze or whatever it was. I mean, some really legitimately good games, and like those games would never hit a Nintendo console. Like even back during the 4th gen, they were trying to basically support one company. They support one company over the other. Now here's the thing. Look, listen. They're a business. They got to do what they got to do. But this was predicated to fuck over another company. Then came the 5th gen where they would put Madden games on the N64, but they'd put their B team on it, and blitz the league and stuff like that. I mean, they were good, but it was their B team. No, it was their B team because their C team was making games for the Sega Saturn. I know they weren't making games for Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was basically making Sega was making their own games. And then during the 6th gen, Nintendo basically gave them reduced licensing fees to put their games on the GameCube, and they let them use Nintendo IPs, which is why you got Mario Hoops 3-on-3, and Mario Dance Dance Revolution. Stuff like that.
Which is an odd one, to be sure.
It was a fun little game. But my point is that Nintendo bent backwards to give third parties a chance during the 6th gen. And EA was one of them that kicked them in the balls. Repeatedly. And then we won't even talk about the 7th gen where they dumped all that shit on the Wii, and then took the money that they made from putting games on the Wii so that to fund their games on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. But you know,
Ben Mass, that is. As I said, EA and Nintendo.
yeah, Joel. Jewel Rider Moonstar. Okay, then. I guess you dropped. So basically, yeah, EA has essentially just they've been trashed for years. So I can't say. I mean, people like the people keep on trying to act like, well, you know, this is just how business works. It's not how business works. You don't sit there and pick winners and losers in business. You do what works for your bottom line. But EA wants to be a kingmaker. Um, and they've wanted to be that way for years. I mean, let's not forget how they fucked over Nintendo gamers on the Wii U with Mass Effect Andromeda, or sorry, Mass Effect 3, where they put out Mass Effect 3 and then like literally a week later they put out the Mass Effect trilogy for the same price on everything else. They did that shit. EA is trash. Um, and they've been trash for years. And I stand by that statement. You know, I know some people are going to get mad about it. I don't really care if they get mad.
The Forgotten Realms.
EA is trash. Has been trash for years. And I stand by that statement. I stand by EA being trash for years. Um, you know, don't get me started. I mean, we don't even have to go over how they basically destroyed multiple studios. We don't have to go over how, you know, EA basically took good franchises and ran them into the ground. We don't need to go over that. We can just talk about how EA has basically screwed over Nintendo gamers. I mean, hell, they released one of the worst games ever during the fourth gen with Shaq Fu. Shaq Fu, that steaming turd of a game. And yes, I'm accusing Shaq Fu of being a steaming turd of a game. So, you know, EA is trash. It's been trash for years. In order to wipe the taste of that trash out of our mouths, we'll keep it moving to Streets of Rage. Yes, Streets of Rage is launching. April 30th. So isn't that great? And for the, I mean, this is a game we've been waiting for 26 years. So basically, this game is being published by Dotemu. They're the publisher of Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, developers of Windjammers 1 and 2. It's being co-developed by Lizard Cube, the people who made Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, and Guard Crush Games, which made Streets of Fury. They are making Streets of Rage 4. It's hitting PC, PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, as well as Game Pass April 30th. So basically, this game, the newest news that came out for this game is that it's adding battle mode. Now, I never really gave a shit about having fighting modes where you're fighting other characters, like other player characters, in kind of like a versus mode. Like, I thought that was trash even back on the original Double Dragon port on the NES. But some people like that shit, so it's here. The cool thing is that you can unlock old characters from other games. So basically, you can get old school characters, like Skate and Dr. X or Z or whatever that dude's name is. So it's kind of cool. I will definitely be getting this game. Not because I'm a huge... how can I put this? I'm not the biggest fan of Streets of Rage. I am not. However, while I'm not the biggest fan of Streets of Rage, I'm gonna support this game so that in the future we can, if this game does well, maybe Capcom will get off their ass and dig into their massive library of beat 'em ups, and we can get, some other stuff. How's it going, Jewel?
I hate it when the DNS cuts me.
It's okay, Jewel. I was just talking about how Streets of Rage is coming out.
Streets of Rage 4?
Yeah, Streets of Rage 4.
That's a pretty good game as far as I saw it.
I'm just happy that Streets of Rage is coming out. I said earlier that I hope the reason I'm going to support.
You're a beat 'em up fan.
Well, I mean, I am a beat 'em up fan, but here's the thing. If this game does well, maybe Capcom will get off their asses and dig into their deep, deep library of beat 'em ups.
How likely do you think that's going to be besides Final Fight?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If Streets of Rage 4 sells well, maybe Capcom will get off their asses and we can get a Final Fight 4. Maybe they'll get off their asses and we can get a King of Dragon 2, or Knights of the Round 2, or Battle Circuit 2, or Cadillacs and Dinosaurs 2. Like, there's so many good beat 'em ups that Capcom made back in the day, and they're just doing nothing. They're just languishing away in a field somewhere,
More like being rotten away in storage.
I mean, think of it like this, okay? It's been 26 years since we had a new Streets of Rage game. That's like having a badass Camaro, right? And it's just sitting in a field for 26 years. You didn't turn it back on. You didn't take it out on the road. It's just sitting there. What a waste.
As I said. It's right in school.
And that's Sega, because the Camaro, Dodge created the Camaro, the Charger. Dodge created the Charger to compete with Ford's Mustang. Capcom's Final Fight is the Mustang, okay? And Streets of Rage is the Charger. Now, both of them are really badass cars, but you can't have the Charger if you didn't have the Mustang first. Um, and I tell you something, I love a Mustang. It's my favorite car.
That I can understand.
So,
Dangerous.
I mean, personally, I really am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to.
Streets of Rage 4?
I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I will probably pre-order this on the Switch, or maybe PC. I'll probably do PC. Because then Because then if there's a modding community for it, I can mod it and add new characters in it. Like, wouldn't it be weird to have a Streets of Rage game where you put in Final Fight characters? or the turtles from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, you can hear the sodium run from that kind of idea.
I'd be cool with it. You know, I wouldn't be like that douchebag who made Final Fantasy 15. He's like, if someone mods my characters to be naked or mods it to be inappropriate things, I'm gonna be mad. I'm like, man, fuck you. You know?
Let the sodium flow.
Look, once someone buys your look, you ought to be happy someone's buying this piece of shit. That's like a chef saying if someone puts ketchup on my steak. Now, I personally would not put ketchup on a steak, and I personally think that it's sacrosanct.
You have to be one of those. You gotta be one of those rare, low taste bud people in order to do that one.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're a customer. If that makes you happy to put ketchup on a fucking steak, and you're paying me to make that steak for you, you know what? I gotta let you do that. Even though I personally would not ever do that because that's just terrible. But, you know, if that's what makes you happy, you know, shit, that's what makes you happy.
Yeah. Kind of like hearing the phrase, there's no such thing as good RNG.
Could you repeat yourself, please?
That's like hearing the phrase, there's no such thing as good RNG.
Yeah, I guess so. So, keeping it moving. So, Fallout 76. Fallout 76 now has a mostly.
Wait a second. It actually has a mostly positive rating?
Yeah, it has a mostly positive rating on PC. But there's a caveat here. There's a caveat.
What?
The caveat is that it's only mostly positive out of like 1,700 people casting their votes, which is actually really bad.
That's low beeping considering how many people bought the game.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, this game has sold like 2 million copies.
I mean, this is like a YouTube video that only has 100 votes, and about 60% of them have a upvote.
Well, I mean, it's the equivalent of saying, okay, we have 2 million people who use this dating service, and it's got a mostly positive rating, but we only got 10,000 people to vote. That's not a good sample size compared to all the people who used it. You know what I mean?
I think that's about 1%.
It's less than 1%, because 1% would be 20,000.
Oof.
Yeah, it's 0.5%. I mean, that's basically the type of shit we're dealing with. In terms of percentages. But not only that, but, you know, this was on PC Gamer. I will admit I am a frequenter of PC Gamer because I own a PC and I game on a PC sometimes. So I are sometimes considered a PC gamer. And I gotta say,
seeing that review made your heart sink.
well, it wasn't the review. It was the comments I got.
Oh boy.
I mean, some people got mad at me. Okay, here's what I said.
This is commentary theater, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Red Fox.
Okay, so here's what I said. I said, let me put it this way. Fallout 76 is a garbage dump, and people who like this game like playing in and with garbage. I'm not knocking your preferences, it's just I demand a certain level of quality from my games, and this is so far below the bar that it's at the Earth's core. I got 8 downvotes for that. So then some asshole says, yes, your opinion is authoritative, and nobody else could possibly have a different take or experience than yours. And such opinion, nobody cares. Hey man, you like playing with trash? Good for you. I don't like playing with it, but I'm not knocking other people for doing it. Not everyone likes quality games. Some people like playing bad games. I don't mean games that are subjectively bad. I mean objectively bad. Bad design, bad gameplay, bad execution of game design. Just all around bad. If you enjoy trash, good for you. I unfortunately refuse to play trash. I can't do it. Tried to play Fallout 4, can't do it. Tried Fallout 76 at a friend's house. I'm so glad I didn't buy that shit. But hey man, you do you. Just don't forget, when you play in a junkyard, you might get tetanus. So this other guy comes, he says, list your 10 most quality games. I said, sure, here are my 10 most quality games. And I put in parentheses, technically quality, as in well designed, as in designed well and stands the test of time. Number 10, Tetris, preferably arcade, but any of the console ports are good as well. Number 9, Streets of Rage 2. Number 8, Lemmings. Number 7, Lost Vikings 1 and 2. Number 6, Duke Nukem 3D. Number 5, Sid Meier's Civilization 2. Number 4, Psychonauts. Number 3, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I said same engine, a lot of reused assets. I'm bunching them together. Number 2, Chrono Trigger. Number 1, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I said honorable mentions, Fallout 1 and 2, Half-Life 2, any of the Monkey Islands games, SimCity 2000. I said these games might not be everyone's subjectively quality games, but objectively the developers have nothing to be ashamed about. No one who has played these games felt cheated out of their money and taken advantage of by shady business practices. So yeah, I don't like playing trash. Others do, but I just can't. So then this dude comes back and he says, list them from the last 5 years. So I'm like, go ahead, move those goalposts. Okay, you wanted my top 10 most quality games. No, go ahead, Joel.
I was about to say, he said in the last 5 years?
Yeah, he moved the goalposts because he couldn't, because you can't really argue that those games aren't quality, objectively quality. Like they aren't, the developers had a clear view, they executed it, and no one feels like they were fucked over by buying those games. I said just because all of them that I listed were quality on a technical level. Just because modern games are mostly great ideas poorly expressed isn't my problem. It's not my fault as a consumer if the product is faulty. It's the people making the product. My responsibility ends at me purchasing it. The onus is on the developer and the publisher. Make better games. It's not acceptable for people to release games that are broken as hell, then fix them later and expect an attitude of quote unquote all is forgiven ! Let's parse this out. If you went to a restaurant and ordered a salad and it had a roach in it, even if they bent over backwards to fix it and rectify your problem, you'd be reticent and hesitant to go there again. In Bethesda's case, they've been doing this for decades at this point. Every game released by Bethesda proper is a broken, janky piece of shit. How many chances are they going to get? How many years till we see a game that doesn't have to be fixed by hobbyists? When will they use an engine that doesn't feel like it's held together with bubblegum tape and well wishes? When?
Bubblegum and tape, I can understand. Well wishes?
Well, I mean, it's basically your hope. Well, I want to say hope, but really, hope is too kind of word. It's bubblegum tape, and we hope this will work out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but here's hoping. That's well wishes.
Yeah, and considering how Fallout 76 ran on that janky engine, oh boy. I think the tape was removed.
Yeah, Fallout. Well, I mean, the thing is that they've been using a derivative of the same engine since Oblivion, or is it Fallout? No, it's Fallout 3. And that engine is janky as hell. It's the reason why they don't have vehicles in Fallout games.
Because look at how buggy it is with the characters alone. Vehicle might be a nightmare.
I mean, but to be fair, I mean, to be absolutely honest, I mean, Bethesda's engine is shit all around because, I mean, if you play Skyrim, you could run faster on foot than you can a horse. Now, here's the thing. In terms of long distance, a healthy human being can outrun a horse long distance because horses are sprinters. They sprint really fast and then they run, their endurance goes down. But in terms of short distances, a sprint, a horse can outrun a human. Not in Fallout, not in Skyrim. Horses will run. Your horse is slower than you running. Which is bullshit. In full armor, in full heavy armor, you can outrun a horse in Skyrim.
You can outrun a fully armored knight can outspeed a horse
In Skyrim.
that has nothing on it.
Correct. And don't get me started. Don't get me started flying. Don't get me started when you fly on the back of a dragon. Yeah, you fly on Dragonback.
I'm trying to keep from laughing so hard.
You fly.
This is just ridiculous.
You fly on Dragonback in this game, and it is just bad.
Dang. And people are saying that your tastes are too retro.
It's just bad.
Yeah. I at least could admit that Fallout 76 is, in one sense, a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of bad game design and bad use of components. I'm trying to keep from laughing because if I keep going, I'll probably burst out in laughter.
I'm just saying it. Like I'm tired. I'm tired of these games that are so broken that you can't do anything. It's not acceptable. A game should never be so broken that
it takes people outside of the company doing it on their spare time
to fix the game. Yeah, like here's the thing, okay? Like, you know, people like to say that video games are a work of art. That's bullshit. Video games are a consumer grade product, like a car or food at a restaurant or, you know, like a plant, something you would buy. It's something that you're buying to consume. Except the difference is that, you know, unlike food that you can consume once, you can consume a video game many times. As much as you want. Okay? In perpetuity. Alright? Now, you would not go to a restaurant and buy us, like, say, okay, you know, this is a 3-course meal. It comes with appetizer, entree, and dessert, and a drink, right? And you say, okay, so it's a steak dinner. Okay, so I want the salad. I want a garden salad. I want a steak medium, not medium well, but medium. I want and for dessert, I'll have creme brulee. All right, and the beverage I'll have unsweetened iced tea. Okay, you order all that shit, and then the steak comes, and the steak comes with two sides, and you're like, okay, I want mashed potatoes and asparagus. Okay, and you come out, and your steak is not medium. It's basically
Rare.
it's rare. And then, someone who's sitting at the table next to you, who's not even who doesn't even work there, is like, hey man, I'll cook that steak for you. You wouldn't accept that. You get, what the fuck is this? That's basically what Bethesda's modding community is for their games. People who have nothing to do with it. Well, I like to cook in my kitchen. Why don't I take your steak to my house and cook it so that it's medium for you? Why should you have to do that? I mean, I appreciate you doing it, but why? They should have got this shit right the first time when I paid them for it. That's what we deal with in the in this field. It's not acceptable.
Hi, so my name is Akinos. I'm a performance artist. I am originally from New York City.
It's not acceptable.
You're right.
It's not acceptable. Like, no other business can accept that. Like, you would not buy a brand new car off the lot, right? Brand new car off the lot, and expect, oh man, this car is a major bug, and just have some random person come to you and say, hey man, I can fix that for you. No, they need to fix this because they fucked this up. They sold me this brand new car and it's fucked up. They need to fix it. No, man. That's Bethesda for you. Shit that should have been fixed a while ago is just not there. It's not acceptable.
I think we ran over 76 and make it a pancake at the moment.
Yeah. But that's okay.
We can do it again another time.
Yeah, speaking of people getting run over and scared. Okay, the Rockstar San Diego founder had a meeting with Shigeru Miyamoto. All right.
And remember what I said earlier in this podcast that something broke?
Yeah, this is Shigeru Miyamoto. This is what I say when Shigeru Miyamoto doesn't fuck around. And he's kind of earned the right to be a little like not fucking around, because this is the man who, along with Kenji Sugimoto, got Retro back on track when they were fucking up. So, like, Shigeru Miyamoto don't fuck around. But this is back in the day during the 5th gen. So Diego Angel is the co-founder of Rockstar San Diego. Before it was Rockstar San Diego, it was called Angel Studios. So basically, back in the day when they were still called Angel Studios, they were hard at work on a game for the N64 called Buggy Boogie. It was a project that ultimately ended up being canceled. Now, in an interview with Polygon, Mr. Angel talked about how his team was working on Buggy Boogie, a game where cars would eat other cars to absorb their powers. And Angel and his team had a chance to show this game idea off to Shigeru Miyamoto himself, and Miyamoto didn't see much value in the project. Mr. Miyamoto came to the first meeting in San Diego. We had the honor that this motherfucker came to us. Mr. Miyamoto went and spent 10-15 minutes looking at it and closed the big fucking book, got his hand behind the book, pushed it to me, and looked at me and said, Diego, I don't want this. My balls got frozen. I lost my legs. I said, fuck, I blew it. He said, this is not what I want. I said, what do you need, Mr. Miyamoto? He said, I don't want any game designs. Let's spend 3 months working on the technology and making sure it feels good, he says. You're going to throw most of that, you're going to throw away most of that shit.
The look on his face probably would be a work of art.
I just think it's hilarious that Shigeru Miyamoto curses. I think that's hilarious.
With somebody like me, if somebody like me curses, that means that you probably done effed up.
No, I mean, I just think it's hilarious that Shigeru Miyamoto would curse. But anyway, he says, while Buggy Boogie didn't pan out, Angel Studios did do other work for the N64. The company released Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. in 98, Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest in 99, and the port of Resident Evil 2 in 1999. So basically, this guy made some of the best games. His studio made some of the best games on the N64.
Which is a surprise considering how the N64 was a cartridge-based game system.
What?
It's a bit of a surprise considering the N64 was a cartridge-based system and it got some of those wild games. Remember, this is the time when CDs were coming into play.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like, here's the thing: we thought CDs were a big deal in the 5th gen, but most of the games that came out on CDs during the 5th gen were just filled with a lot of FMV and CD grade audio. Like, gameplay wasn't substantially better because they were on CD.
Yeah,
I would
I mean,
say
if anything, they could have stuffed more RPG in those CDs if they played it.
yeah, I would say the only gameplay genre that got better because it was on CD were RPGs. Because you could have more content. That's the only, and RPGs are a game that have to be content rich, or are a genre that need to have a certain RPGs need to have a lot of content, in order for them to really feel expansive and like you're getting your money's worth. Like, if I bought an RPG and it was only like 5 hours long, I'd be pissed. Especially if it was like a $60, $70 RPG. I'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? But if you're playing like a 2D platformer, it could be 5 hours long. You don't care. It's like, it's okay. So Shigeru Miyamoto had his table flipping moment.
Yeah. So he plays Flip with Shatter.
I mean, I don't think he shattered the table. It's just the reason Nintendo's first party games and second party games are so good is because they have a philosophy of, is this going to be fun? Is this going to be enjoyable? Can this be replayed? For a lot of their IPs.
Yeah.
And a lot of developers don't make games like that anymore.
Which is kind of sad that such quality is kind of burnt out.
Yeah, it is sad. It's a damn shame. But, what are you going to do? Speaking of fun and not fun, I guess we got to get to the business part of this cast. We're talking about the PS5 and the Xbox One X. Sorry, the Xbox Series X, or the Sex Box, as I call it.
Sex box.
Yeah, the Sex Box.
Let me guess. More graphical dick waving?
No. This time it's about the price of these consoles when they launch, and
The rarity?
Well, here's what we've learned. Okay, here's the news, if you will. Okay, the news is
Go for
this. Okay, basically, Sony is quaking in their boots to launch the PS5 this fall, because basically the PS5 for Sony costs them about $550 to make, and they're terrified that Microsoft's Series X is going to come out and Microsoft is going to sell it for substantially less than $500, and they'll have to cut the price of the PS5 to a certain point in order to essentially be competitive. Because remember, when the PS3 came out, it was Was it $599 or $699?
It was near 500.
Let me look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. PS3 original price.
599 US dollars. I remember that joke from the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it was $599. So basically, if they come out with a console, if they come
That is
out
near that price again.
if they come out with a console, especially with the economy doing what it's doing right now, if they come out with a console that is like over 500, that's $500 or higher, they're gonna lose the console gen before it even starts.
And this is before this is before thinking about other problems that they have, like scalping.
Well, I mean, they've already said. Well, basically, they're okay. The reason they can't get the price down, because they use expensive components in making it, obviously. So basically, at this point, they're like stuck between a rock and a hard place in terms of pricing. What they're doing is they're limiting the amount of PS5s they're going to make to lower the costs. But here's the thing: in manufacturing, you have to make a certain amount so that basically your how you make it gets cheap enough to where you start breaking even or turning a profit. But they can't do it.
And as I was saying, this is before the scalp come into play.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing people might scalp it, but I think the joke's going to be on them because I don't think people are going to have the money to even buy this shit in the first place.
You know what? You're right. I mean, they have to pull off one of the stupid stunts in order to even make a profit.
I mean, I think they're going to go broke.
If PlayStation 5 kills Sony's gaming market, that will be a big surprise. Especially since Xbox has been killing themselves softly.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I think Microsoft, just to say fuck you to Sony, could release if Microsoft releases the Series X for like $400.
Baseline 400 under.
If they release it for $400, that's Sony's ass. That's Sony's ass. That's Sony's ass for the next 2 years. Because here's the thing. But here's the terrible thing for Sony. Microsoft doesn't even care about the console market at this point. They don't really. The Xbox Series X is just a back door so that they could get xCloud and Game Pass into your house. Because here's the thing: if they can get people to buy buy into xCloud and pay $80, $100 a year so that you can play your Xbox games anywhere on your PC, on your phone, on your console, and Game Pass, which gives you access to a huge library of games. I mean, they're basically if they've got your ass for $200 a year to have access to those services, and you have that service for years, like 5, 10, 15 years. For 5 years, let's say $200 for both services. If they have your ass for 5 years, you spent $1,000 with Xbox. And that's just, you haven't even bought games from them yet. This is just for Xbox Game Pass and xCloud. How's it going, Kenoshi?
It's going all right. Sorry I missed the cast. I was really tired.
No, man, we're still on. We're talking about Sony shitting themselves at the thought that Microsoft's Xbox might be $400.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what Microsoft has put their console? Is that the price of their console?
Well, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know if that's the
Sony
price
has
of their
put their
console.
price at the same price that they did the PS3.
Well, I mean, the thing is like, from what we've heard, the PS5 is going to cost between $500 and $550 in order for it to turn a profit. The problem is that, I mean, with the economy going the way it is, people aren't going to spend $500 on a fucking console.
Yeah,
They're not going to do it.
definitely.
Microsoft, if they can come in with the sex box at 400, I mean that's kind of pushing it. But when you factor in that you can spend like $60, $70, maybe $100 once they raise the price for Game Pass and have access to hundreds of games for one flat fee a month or a year. I mean, one is clearly a better value than the other. And Microsoft, that's what they're playing. They want you to pay for services. They want that $100, $200 for X Cloud and X Pass, Xbox Game Pass. That's what they want you. That's what they want you to spend your money on. And it's the smart move because, I mean, if they have someone for 5 years, if you get X Cloud and Xbox Game Pass for 5 years, and let's say combine the two services are $200, you spend $1,000 with Microsoft. They don't care about the console. The console is just a back door to get the services into your house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hate to say this, but Microsoft's playing chess, Sony's playing fucking checkers. Actually, they aren't even playing checkers. They're playing tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you know how easy that is.
So, I mean, look, man. I mean, Sony's like, well, we're gonna have a limited run, and that's why it's like, look, it doesn't matter how limited you make the PS5. The only people who are gonna spend $550 on a new console or $500 on a new console are people who either work in the industry where they need to have a new console, like video game journalists, people who do reviews. Joe Blow average consumer ain't spending $500 on it, especially when people don't know if they're gonna have a job, or people are struggling right now, dipping into their fucking savings to survive. And you think they're gonna spend $500 on a fucking PlayStation 5? Are you out your goddamn mind?
Oh yeah.
They are hoping that you won't notice the difference.
Shit. Especially when there aren't going to be any new games coming out. It's just the same shit, just slightly prettier.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a big kick in the arm, since if I remember right, both PlayStation and Sony have that problem.
And Nintendo. Don't forget all them fucking ports on the Switch.
I mean, for the new console, you're suggesting that the Switch is still new.
Well, I'm considering the Switch is Nintendo's 9th gen console. These will be the 9th gen consoles for Sony and Microsoft. If the Switch is indicative of the 9th gen console, the types of games we'll see on 9th gen consoles, you're going to get a lot of ports of shit, just slightly prettier versions of shit that you had last gen. And no new games. When I say new games, I mean new genres of games. Because I would say up until the 7th gen, the 6th gen we were getting new genres of games. The 5th gen we were getting new genres of games. The 4th gen we were getting new genres of games. We ain't getting nothing new. We haven't gotten anything new. We haven't gotten a new genre of game since the 6th gen from anybody. Oh, that's not true. Nintendo with Splatoon in the 8th gen, and motion control with the 7th. Okay, except for Nintendo, but Sony and Microsoft haven't done anything new since the 7th gen.
Yep.
So, and I mean, I don't know about. Look, listen. I know a lot of people, they don't care, but me. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I buy a new console, I actually want to play new shit that I couldn't play last gen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it used to be.
I mean, I know this is a wild thing. Why in the hell would I want to buy a new next gen console so I could play shit I couldn't play before? I know that's wild. I know I'm losing my mind. I know it's a crazy idea.
Ham it up, Red. Ham it up.
I know, you know. I mean,
If anything, if anything, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be new experiences. I'm just saying that if anything, I want I want games of quality.
Well, I mean, I want quality too, but I mean, like, here's the thing: quality can only take you so far because, I mean, that's what we've been mostly been getting. Yeah, the quality has gotten better. They're prettier. The worlds are more gorgeous. Some of them are more expansive, but the core gameplay is the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
3D platformers haven't really gone much farther than they were in the 6th gen. The only people who've really experimented with 3D platformers is Nintendo, because that's pretty much their bread and butter. Is like, you know, like the 3D platformer and stuff. No one else has really done anything to push it forward. You know, adventure games are still adventure games, and in some ways they've gotten worse. You know, beat 'em ups are coming back. Okay, that's good, but that's an old genre. First person shooters have gotten lazier, in my opinion.
I was about to say, aged would have been the better word.
No, I just think they've gotten lazier. Like, I don't enjoy first person shooters like I used to back in the day. Like, back in the day, I was really into, like, Doom and Duke Nukem and Wolfenstein and Shadow Warrior.
It's funny that the only shooting game that I actually got is the one that stood out from the rest of the group.
What?
You probably get on my case about it with you Splatoon.
Really? Splatoon's not a first-person shooter, though.
I say it's a shooter game.
Nah, not really.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's more of a co-op game. But yeah, I mean, it's a series of failure. And you know, I mean, like I said, if the ninth gen Switch is indicative of what you're going to be getting out of the sex box and the PS5, prepare to be disappointed. Because at least with the Switch, you have a lot of Nintendo first-party games. And here's the thing: even though I'm not really impressed with a lot of Nintendo's first-party games, they're still of a certain level of quality. Sony doesn't have really good high-quality first-party games, in my opinion.
And
Not these days, they don't.
And don't forget, these two usually run third parties higher than the first parties.
Yeah, and third parties, I mean, you're going to get a lot of ports of shit that came out already. And I don't know about you, but like I said, I don't buy a new console so that I can play old shit that I already own. I can't do it. You know?
Yeah.
But that's just me. What do you guys think before we move on to the final topic?
Uh,
We're gonna be in a slog for a while. But then again, we're already stuck
Oh.
in confinement.
well, I think it's just going to be a repeat of
Filled-
what happened this generation with a lot of publishers putting their old stuff on these new consoles to try to make the money, trying to make their money back for at least a couple of years before we see anything new.
How much do you want to bet we're going to see a GTA 5 port on these next gen consoles?
Probably. More than likely,
PS5 and
just
Sexbox. The Sexbox. It almost sounds like a porn, but it isn't. That's my nickname for the Series Xbox. The
But-
Sexbox.
with the new Xbox, I don't. They say that it sounds like the new Xbox is going to have a more robust backwards compatibility system compared to PlayStation.
Well, I mean, they're just copying what they
PlayStation.
did with the Xbox One X, which it wasn't backwards, it was emulation. I mean, I'm not against emulation, but
No, it's, well, compared to what's going on with the PS4, PS5,
Yeah, that's true.
it's-
where they're like, oh, well, some shit's gonna be backwards compatible, but it's a really small market. I'm like, this is some bullshit right here.
yeah, you don't know. You don't know if all your games are going to work on the PS5 or not.
Yeah,
So,
that's trash, man. I mean, like, I'm mad. I mean, with Nintendo, it's like, okay, well, they moved to a different storage medium, but they could have brought the virtual console over, and you could have carried your games. That was some bullshit, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. I mean, I think backwards compatibility. I know a lot of people are going to get mad because I know I just said I don't want to buy new games that I already own. But if I already own the games digitally or physically, I should have the option to play them on my new shit without paying more for it because I already bought it. Like, why would I want to buy it again? But whatever. Backwards compatibility is a lie nowadays. Okay, so we can move on to the final topic. The final topic is kind of the fun topic. So here's the fun topic. Pitch how to reboot a franchise that you hate viscerally. Now, this is a franchise that you hate. Like, you're going to have to kind of force yourself to talk about how to reboot it and give it the old college try. Don't just throw it out there.
To be honest with you, I've been thinking about this when you mentioned it.
Okay.
So, if you're trying to make a game that has you beat up mooks every single second, and those mooks have barely 3 HP among an entire squadron of 30, can we at least try to make them more like Final Fight?
What is this a beat 'em up? Is this a beat 'em up or what? Like,
I'm aiming at the Dynasty freaking Warriors.
oh, you mean so make a Dynasty Warriors type game set in a modern setting that's more like
yes, and,
like Final Fight?
And I mean, if you're trying to reboot an entire series or entire genre of a game, which is the beat 'em up, then take hints from Final Fight, Streets of Rage, and other beat 'em ups, and try to use that as a cornerstone to give them more of a challenge, and try to not use only one beeping button with only another button to do various aerial combos, and just a third just to trigger your specials.
I'd be down with that. I mean, I have to agree with you. Dynasty Warriors is really formulaic and stale at this point, and the only ones I get enjoyment out of are the ones that are about IPs that I actually am a huge fanboy for. So like the Guts one, I mean the one that was Berserk, the Fist of the North Star one. Like I couldn't even enjoy Zelda Warriors because I was like, I like Legend of Zelda, but I don't like it like this, you know?
Yeah, the thing that made me, I was trying to keep screaming how much I hate that genre.
Yeah.
I wish,
Understand my rage there.
the problem with that genre is there's not a lot of, it just seems like it's just mashing a square button or,
As
a
I said,
button
Yeah.
or just
Make
over
it-
and over and over again. So
make
add
it
some
so
more.
you don't need only one button to beat up your opponent.
Well, I mean
Add
that's
some
the
more
thing.
add some more technical aspects to the enemies as well. You know, you have
Yeah.
all these enemies, you know, on screen at the same time. They should just be able to do more stuff. Should have more. They should have more. You know, dynamic abilities and
Yeah.
add
Yeah.
some technical button combinations when it comes to attacks. And you know,
Well, I mean, you're
And
right.
give him more than just 1 HP among 10.
I would say here's do something that seems counterintuitive to the Dynasty Warrior to the Warriors series that Tecmo Koei and Omega Force have just been hesitant to do. These games keep on getting bigger, like in terms of like the countryside or like there's like multiple cities on one map and you're running around back and forth. It's like these it's so huge that you can't it wouldn't make sense for you to have with like all these enemies. What if you just made a Dynasty Warriors game where instead of fighting in the countryside and massive towns and villages, it was just a city that was divided into grids. So then you could have a few characters in an area and it would make sense. And then you would like it's like, okay, I'm fighting a gang of dudes, but there's like 6 of them and there's just one of me. And each of them is unique and has their own like little idiosyncrasies and shit. It would make a lot more sense. It would probably be more enjoyable that way instead of just I know the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I'm a badass and I'm beating all these dudes' asses. It's like, yeah, but I mean, you're using the same like basically those Warriors games are you basically learn 3 or 4 combos, you spam the shit out of them so that you can build up to your ultimate attack and save that for the bosses. That's it. That's all you do.
Yes. Yes. Yes, effing yes.
So hey guys, guess
And
what?
thank you, Rick, for letting me get that out of my system.
I'm using the same 3 or 4 abilities. Oh, it's filled up. Let me use my ultimate attack. Yeah, okay. It's not fun. It's not. It's. I mean, I know there are
yeah.
people who love it, but I can't do it. It's. I would rather play. Let's see, what's a repetitive ass game that I hate? I would rather play No, I would rather play Madden. Uh, Madden 99 on repeat, and I hate the Madden series. I do. I hate the Madden series.
Oh,
That's not the franchise that I hate viscerally that I'm gonna do.
what could draw that fire?
Yeah, the franchise that I hate viscerally, like I legitimately hate this franchise and I wish it would die. But I'm gonna talk about how to reboot it and make it interesting to people again. Is I'm gonna tell you how to reboot. It's not a franchise; it's a game. Fallout 76. Now I've talked a lot of shit about this game, and I don't apologize for it.
Especially today.
I'm unapologetic about talking shit about Fallout 76 because it's a bad game. But but here's the thing. People are like some people said before it came out, yeah, I want a multiplayer Fallout game. So I'm gonna tell you how to make a multiplayer Fallout game that works. Okay? Number one, don't make it in that engine that Bethesda keeps on using over and over again because it's a broken piece of shit. Okay. Number two, use an engine that's more action oriented. Number three, um, have instanced combat. Okay, so basically have 2 areas. Have the wasteland, and then have outside of the wasteland that's like basically like more settled, and basically have PVE in the settled area, and then have PvP and PvE and PvP and VE and vice and all those permutations within the wasteland area. Okay, and the central dichotomy could be settlement, where you're basically, if you're a player character, you go into the wasteland trying to clear out areas of bandits and super mutants and bad wildlife and stuff like that, so that you can put down settlement points. And then you have raiders and shit who live in the wasteland who are happy with this anarchy and who are trying to take out those settlement points. So basically, like, you know, let's say once a year you have a massive event where one side faces off against the other, and whoever takes it gets to, like, the whole area gets reset. So like the whole area for like a month is all wasteland if the raiders win, or for a month it's all settlers if the settlers win, or whatever. And for the PvP aspect of it, I mean, you basically, I mean, you know, it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Resources are actually really scarce. They're useful, but they're scarce, right? The settled areas probably get cleaned out really quickly. It gets respawned, but maybe that's like once a month that new shit comes in. You know, if you want it, like, new shit gets respawned all the time in the wasteland, like once a day. So it incentivizes people to go and fight each other for resources and shit like that. You know, have people create their own little factions and stuff. Don't mess up the lore of the base game, because people who are really into Fallout don't like that. Have people create their own factions and shit. So maybe you could have people who patrol the wasteland. They're like, we protect newbies and shit like that. You know, stuff like that. That could work. What you guys did was shit, but I mean, my idea, you know, maybe it could work. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I guess it's your turn, Kenoshi. If it's not a franchise you hate, it could be something you're just apathetic about.
Just what? Just to know. Well, I would say the Uncharted series, just for the fact that I think they went, but serious. But I really liked Uncharted 2, and I think they got too serious with that story, and you know, they tried to ground it more in a, it's somewhat, I just call it pseudo realism. I really like the fantastical stuff that they did at the end, how they built up to the Shambhala sequence, and then they just kind of threw all that away. And that's why I didn't really like the series anymore, because they were, you know, more focused on a sort of pseudo realistic setting rather than.
It's like they're trying to basically make a playable movie versus a game. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense now, because it turns out a lot of people left Sucker Punch and
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog, and they hired a whole bunch of animators, like CG animators, to take their place. So I was just really kind of left a sour taste. I mean, I tried playing through Uncharted 3, and then when I just heard about the story and where it ended up, I was like, well, this is dumb. You know, this is, you know, I was expecting some sort of nonsensical, fantastical sequence at the end, like the second one, and no, we don't get any of that. We want seriousness, son. We're trying to tell a serious story.
Yeah.
About a guy who kills tons and tons of people, and yet he's never had any training, but he's somehow, like, got military style skills with a gun.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Some people really like. I've never been a huge fan of Naughty Dog. I think Crash Bandicoot is kind of a shit franchise. And Uncharted, it's
a tad bit overrated.
Yeah, I know people who really love Uncharted. They're like, yeah, I love Uncharted. It's great. It's like playing a movie. Why the fuck would I want to play a movie? I watch a movie. I play a game. They're two completely different mediums.
Exactly. Yeah, it's also just sad because, you know, the state of Naughty Dog. I'm not particularly happy with the state of Naughty Dog and where they've been heading for the past few years.
Well, they really went downhill with The Last of Us, because everyone's like, this game is brilliant. I'm like, you're playing a fucking movie.
I mean, it's like people are.
I thought it was
I
1886.
remember people are like, you know, people are happy with Naughty Dog. They're like, oh, Naughty Dog grew up with me. It's like, I didn't want them to grow up with me. I wanted them to keep making the same wacky games they were making when I was a kid, like
Yeah,
the Jack and Daxter stuff and the Crash Bandicoot
I
stuff.
would love
Like,
to
that's
play.
fine.
I would love to play an open world Jack and Daxter game. Could you imagine or even better, a Jack and Daxter game that crossed over with Ratchet and Clank, where
Oh,
Jack and
yeah, why-
Daxter were going to different planets
a
with
wet
Ratchet
dream.
and Clank?
Yeah,
That'd
that'd
be
have been
fucking
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
But we'll never get that because Naughty Dog, they want to make movies, playable movies. Yeah, because fuck actual gameplay.
I just feel that a lot of these developers, you know, are the problem. And the problem with a lot of gamers is that they think that these companies are the same companies they grew up with, but they're not. They're not. A lot of those people left. A lot of those people moved on. Some of the indie games you made are probably made from ex-developers from those companies.
I mean, to be fair, there's only one company that has pretty much, like, a lot of their games have stayed in the same level of quality and a lot of the ideas for years and years and years, and that's Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's the only one. That's the only one holding it down. And even when they fuck up, it's like, come on, you guys are better than this. But it's not to the, I've never, well, except for Breath of the Wild, but before then, I never played a Legend of Zelda. I was like, this is completely different from every other Legend of Zelda game I've ever played.
Yeah.
They're trying to
Yeah,
they're trying to make me play a movie.
It's like when I was back in the Wii days, where people were disappointed in Nintendo because they weren't making like a rated M Zelda game. I'm like, I don't want Nintendo to make a rated M Zelda game. Somebody else can do that. Somebody
Yeah.
else can.
They did that. It's called
have their-
Darksiders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't mind if somebody else did that, but I wouldn't want Nintendo to do that because
Yeah.
that just wouldn't be Nintendo.
Here's what I'll say. There is one franchise